Hello everybody, today I'm going to do a read aloud. You may already know this book. It's called Lost and Found Cat. This is the true story of Kankush's incredible journey, and Kankush is the cat. Okay, I'm going to read you the inside cover of this while you're looking at the title. An unforgettable true story of survival and hope. When life in Iraq became too dangerous for Kankush and his family, they risked everything to find a safe home. They carried him hundreds of miles over mountains, through forests, and across the sea. But he got lost in the chaos when their boat landed in Greece, and his broken-hearted family was forced to continue on without him. Left behind, Kankush was hungry and alone. Luckily, some volunteers rescued the starving and bedraggled cat. The rescuers wanted to reunite the lost cat with his family, but could they ever be found? Against all odds, a worldwide search proved that a love of family breaks down all borders. Okay, here we go. Lost and Found Cat. And this is by Doug Kuntz and Amy Schroeds. Illustrated by Sue Corneliuson. Late one night in August 2015, a car driven by a smuggler snuck out of the city of Mosul in the country of Iraq. The smuggler's passengers were a mother and her 4 daughters and 1 son. Their father had recently died. Sura, the mother, had paid the smugglers to help her family flee the country. Mosul had become too dangerous. Now you heard the word smuggler on that page, and smuggler means someone who takes goods or people across a border to another country illegally. Okay. A few days earlier, the family had gotten ready to leave. Since they could only bring what they could carry, they had packed just 1 bag full of food and water. They would buy clothes later, but Sura had decided they could not leave without their beloved cat, Kankush. Sura prayed that the cat, hidden in a small carrier, would stay quiet. If the smuggler discovered Kankush, he would make her pay a great deal of money more. So they are trying to escape their country because it's dangerous there. Two hours later, the car stopped and they were told to get out. Another smuggler met them and led them on foot through forests and over mountains, stopping only to eat and sleep in the woods. Sura feared for her children. Rahab, 18, Hakam, 16, Mahab, 11, Albab, 10, and Ansab, 9. But they saw it as an adventure, often singing as they walked during their 3-day journey. Sura and her son, Hakam, took turns carrying Kankush at the back of the line, so that if the cat meowed, the smuggler would not hear him. Whenever they stopped to rest, Sura took Kankush behind some trees to let him out and to feed him. On the 4th day, they reached a Kurdish village where another smuggler was waiting to take them to Istanbul, Turkey, in a bus. While the smuggler drove, the family had to be on the lookout for the patrols trying to catch them. The family stayed in the city for 2 weeks, moving from one apartment to another. At least Kankush could wander freely inside. So they're staying in this apartment and kind of hiding away, and a patrol is someone like a police officer or guard, and they're trying to get out of this country so they can't go outside. But they have friends that are helping them. Finally, it was time to cross the Aegean Sea to Greece. The family boarded another bus and drove to a place called Izmir on the Turkish coast. Then they walked 3 hours along the beach until they were told to put on life jackets. The Greek island of Lesbos was 6 miles across the water. Kankush and his family were crammed aboard a flimsy rubber boat. It was meant to carry only 25 people, but there were more than 60 men and women and children on the boat, plus one secret cat. Almost as soon as the overcrowded boat launched, it began taking on water because it was too heavy. From the shore, people shouted the passengers to throw their belongings overboard to make the boat lighter, but most refused. Sura tried to hold Kankush's carrier above the water until a wave drenched them all. You can see her holding the basket above her head. The sinking boat had to return to shore. As a crush of people got off, Kankush's carrier door was broken. Determined to make the crossing, Sura told her kids to stay aboard. The boat launched again, this time with fewer passengers. Sura was scared because only her son Hakam could swim, but her daughters were unconcerned, enjoying the ride in the sun after weeks of hiding. The 3-hour crossing to Lesbos felt like it flew by thanks to their excitement. So they are enjoying that boat ride. Volunteers in Greece waited on the shore to help the hundreds of refugees arriving every day. As soon as the boat reached the beach, panicky, shivering passengers scrambled to get off. Hakam splashed ashore with Kankush and put the carrier on dry land, and he hurried back to help his mother off the boat. That word refugee came up in this text, and that means a refugee is a person who is forced to leave their country to escape war or natural disasters or persecution, or because it's simply very dangerous. Okay? So these are all refugees trying to leave their country and go somewhere safer. Wet and frightened, Kankush pushed his way out of the broken door of his carrier. He quickly disappeared into the forest like a deer. Oh no! While the rest of the boat passengers were loaded onto a bus to continue their journey, the family refused to leave without their cat. Several volunteers helped them look for Kankush. They searched for hours. At last they had to give up. The heartbroken family needed to leave, taking the next step toward their new home. You see they're looking for their cat, calling his name. In a little fishing village on Lesbos, near where Kankush's family had arrived, there lived a colony of island cats. No one owned them, but fishermen kept them well fed. A few days after Kankush's family had left, volunteers noticed a white cat hanging around the local cafes. The white cat's fur was filthy and matted. He looked like he was starving. The local cats seemed to know he was a stranger. They hissed and spat and chased him away. Oh no. One of the volunteers, Amy, told her friend and a fellow volunteer, Ashley, about the cat she'd seen. Could this white cat be the one the family had lost? After questioning villagers and searching the island, Amy and Ashley found this cat, the white cat, and took him to a local vet. Dr. Constantina shaved the cat's matted, filthy fur. She gave him his shots and other medicines. But this cat needed a name for now. Dr. Constantina suggested Dias to give him strength. Dias is the Greek name for Zeus, the king of the ancient Greek gods. The friends took Dias back to Amy's apartment. His shaved fur was still full of sand and bugs. Amy bathed and scrubbed him until he was clean. 5 minutes after his bath, the exhausted cat collapsed face down mid-meow and slept. Oh, I'm so tired. Dias stayed with Amy for over a month. Often he prowled around her apartment, yowling loudly. Amy believed it was because he was looking for his family. Amy and her friends were determined to reunite Dias with his family. But where were they? Volunteers created flyers, and Amy's friend Michelle, back in the United States, made a Facebook page for him. People contributed money to help pay for his medical care and travel. Before long, news stories about the lost cat appeared around the world. Millions of people saw the videos, articles, and Facebook updates about Dias. He had become famous. Amy was fairly sure that the Dias family had left Greece. Many of the refugees' families had traveled to Germany. Since Amy's time in Lesbos was ending, she made plans to take Dias to Germany. She and Dias flew to Berlin, where a British couple named Emma and Simon had agreed to take care of him and continue the search. If his family could not be found, a year later, they would adopt him. And then, on Valentine's Day, the family saw their lost cat on a news website. The oldest daughter, Rehab, who had learned some English, contacted Amy and her friends through Facebook. Everyone had been looking in the wrong place. The family was living in Norway, not Germany. Rehab told Amy that Dias's real name was Kankush. The volunteer arranged a Skype visit. When the family saw the fluffy white cat on the screen, they called Kankush. His ears perked up. He started searching for his family. Oh my goodness, they have found each other. Photographer named Doug in Lesbos in Germany. Let me start again. A photographer named Doug in Lesbos in Germany, to show the refugee story to the world, agreed to fly with Kankush from Germany to Norway. But when he got to the airport in Berlin, the supervisor behind the counter told him he could not board the plane. The carrier is too small, she said with a sniff. By this time, a crowd had gathered around Doug and his yowling white cat. Doug pleaded with her. He told her the carrier was the right size. The carrier is too small. A cat cannot turn around, she snapped. At that moment, Kankush made a dramatic 180-degree turn. The crowd laughed, with the supervisor grudgingly agreed to allow him onto the plane. In Norway, Doug rented a car and drove 2 hours to his family's new home. They were waiting eagerly for him. So was a team of camera people and reporters. Sura opened the door and blinked at the bright lights of the camera. Then she burst into tears as Doug placed Kankush in her arms. "Mahabi," she murmured. "That's Arabic for my darling." The entire family crowded around their long-lost pet. After 4 months and thousands of miles, Kankush and his family were finally together in their new home. "We are all safe now," said Sura. And this is a really good picture of their journey. So you can see, or the cat's journey, rather, Kankush's journey. So he started here in Mosul in Iraq, went to Lesbos, or went to Istanbul, Turkey, to Lesbos in Greek island, and then a big, long airplane ride to Germany, Berlin, and then another airplane ride to Norway, Oslo. And this are the actual pictures of this. This is a true story. So, like Sura and her children, these Muslim families have left their war-torn countries seeking safety in Europe. Boat landings on Lesbos are chaotic as volunteers like Amy help guide the boats to shore on the rough surf. Kankush finally found his way to the community of wild cats, but they wouldn't let him join their group. By the time Amy and Ashley found Kankush, he had been through very rough times. Kankush, skinny and shaved, waits for his family to find him. Amy took good care of Kankush in Greece, and a foster family was found in Germany. Kankush and his paper passport are ready for the trip to Germany. Sura was overcome with emotion when she was reunited with Kankush. Sura and Kankush were so happy to be together again in their new home in Norway. The whole family missed Kankush. Finally, the family is complete. Kankush makes himself at home in Norway. Sura and her daughters pose with Kankush's carrier. And that is the end. I hope you enjoyed our book today. We learned about the word refugee. We learned about the word smuggler and also patrolling. I hope you are well. Take good care. Keep reading.